quickly need to do as well. The survey. So yeah, we're live. So good afternoon, guys, and we've got Charlotte in the chat. So I'm just going to give everyone a second or so before I introduce our guest for today. I'm also going to quickly do the survey because I forgot to generate it before the show, which is always a good one. But I hope everyone's doing all right. So I think the numbers look like they're ticking up there. So yeah, we're joined today by Keith Stafford. Keith, I don't know if you want to do a little introduction to who you are and where you work.
Can do. Okay, my name's Keith Stafford. I work for a company called Northumbria Probation Community Rehabilitation Company, and I've worked there since 2002. Prior to that, I was a magistrate for 7 years, and just prior to that, I was a probation volunteer for 3 years. And obviously, I'm a team manager now within probation.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, just to start, that's a lot. You've done a lot. But in your current role, sort of what's the brief overview of what you do, like, day to day, would you say?
Right, so...
boil it down.
Yeah, I'll try my best. Currently, I'm the manager for community payback, which is also known as unpaid work. You can use those terms interchangeably. But basically what it means is that service users who were sentenced by the court to do unpaid work in the community, I have the overall arching responsibility throughout Northumbria to ensure that unpaid work is delivered to the standards required by the courts. And on a day-to-day basis, everything and anything that's linked to that, so liaising with different team managers within probation, liaison with CP staff, community payback staff, and beneficiaries, people who we go out to and provide unpaid work.
Yeah. So with the unpaid work, this is a genuine question, by the way. I haven't written this all down, but who are the main sort of beneficiaries of the community payback?
I'm going to say the community, but basically the if you I think what you're talking about is like what is our sort of beneficiary portfolio look like?
That essentially.
So basically, what I would say is we provide a lot of unpaid work for charities, and that can be either at various locations or it can be within charity shops. We provide unpaid work to local sports clubs, so that could be cricket clubs, football clubs, rugby clubs. We provide unpaid work to local authorities, so that could be, and that's across all the local authorities within Northumbrian town and where we deliver various amounts of unpaid work. I think they're probably the biggies that we get involved in. So quite a mixed bag as far as where we deliver, and quite a broad range of types of activities that we get involved in. So people who are working in who are in charity shops or warehouses, up to people outside doing groundworks.
Yeah.
That's what I was
sort of about.
Quite a lot of different types of work.
Yeah, that was going to be my next sort of question, following on from that, because obviously that's quite a broad range of like different organisations or groups or whatever it is.
I think people tend to get surprised about the scope of activities that we get involved in.
Yeah. I mean, it's really broad ranging. So obviously that's you sort of touched on it there. So it's everything from like groundworks to when you say in charity shops, I take it that means like managing the shop floor and stuff and helping.
Not managing the shop floor, being a volunteer, if you like. So that may be helping with customer service. It could be about working in the back of the shop. Dealing with stock and moving stock around the place. Could be doing stock taking. It could be all those different things that the beneficiary wants, really.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So, is there any particular like feedback you've got from them as well? Once it's been carried out, in these community organisations, is it generally good?
Absolutely. I mean, the type of work that we do, if we weren't providing a good service and if we didn't build up really supportive and trusting mutual relationships, they wouldn't ask us back. And I think one of the key strengths of probation, if you like, is that we do absolutely value the notion of developing trust and relationships with the beneficiaries.
Yeah.
So and we're obviously mutually supportive. Like I said, if they didn't want us and they didn't value us, then we wouldn't be asked back. And some of the relationships that we've had, and yeah, I mean, similar to, like, we don't do any work with Media Savvy per se, but kind of work with Media Savvy. We over the years we've built a relationship with Media Savvy.
Yeah.
10 years plus, I think it is now, and that's the case with a lot of the charity shops and beneficiaries who we work with. We have long-standing relationships that go back many years.
Yeah, I think that's a massively important bit of it as well. Speaking, from our end as well, it's one of our longer term sort of partners. I think the very first course was delivered by Dan and Mark to probation service users, as far as I remember. That's long before my time, mind. So
it's not before mine. I can remember.
Yes, I think the first course we ever delivered was to probation users. So, and managed to maintain that and get a healthy sort of relationship where we come and do the local authority funded stuff as well.
Absolutely.
But that's another part of, I think, one of the other questions I had, it was probably a little bit later on, but it was sort of what's your focus in terms of when, this is probably more relating to when you were manager of one of the offices, in terms of when you get people through the door, like what is your focus with them and how did you try to get them back on the right track, as it were?
Good question, and it's a question that I would spend probably the rest of the time discussing, but try and be brief, as concise as I could.
Yeah.
Basically, they're all individuals, and it's not one size fits all. And I think some core principles that you try to encapsulate when you're involved, when you're working within probation. And I've already kind of alluded to one of those. Relationships are absolutely crucial. So building trusting relationships, being non-judgmental, being victim focused, being a good problem solver, helping people to sort of see things differently is a key component part of what probation does. It's not for everybody, and it's not an easy job. Yeah. There's lots of frustrations, not just working with service users, but just because of the type of environment that we work in. But it's a really rewarding job, and usually what you find is people who, I always think it's like this 5-year rule. If you're still sticking around in probation after about 5 years, chances are it's going to be your career. But yeah, it's an interesting job, and like I say, the spectrum of people that you work with. I mean, I've worked with some really, on a service user level, if you like, I've worked with some really interesting people, and I've learned things from people from different backgrounds, and I think that's important as well.
Yeah.
But it's not an easy job. It's not for everybody, but there's some core characteristics that you need, and again, it's all about relationships.
Yeah. So, like that focus, I think, is really important. Just from the work that we've done, is you don't want to do is march in and treat them any differently than you would anyone else.
And why would you?
Exactly. I think there's a bit of a stigma attached to the service in general.
And you've probably heard us like refer to what you would describe like offenders or criminals or service users. I think it's key that there's plenty of other agencies and other sort of parts of society who label people. Maybe we try not to be one. We do use the term sort of service users and offender interchangeably, but obviously what we try and do is treat people as individuals.
Yeah.
And try to like I said, develop a trusting relationship. Once you get that basis, then people listen, and you can influence and you can guide and you can befriend and all those sort of things. But the key characteristic is people who've got good social skills and who can develop and maintain relationships. Crucial.
Yeah, and again, yeah, just it's massively important, I think, to as a part of like a rehabilitation process to do that as well. So like it's good to see that that's your
yeah,
approach.
I think the thing there's two sort of notions that we sort of you could sort of refer to that underpin what probation do. One is pro-social modelling, which is more or less what you've just alluded to there, which is demonstrating what is good, or what, like, a different way of thinking about things. So being pro-social in that regard. And motivation interviewing techniques. So it's really difficult. Obviously people have come to probation, they don't particularly want to be there, they've been sent there, and so you've got to motivate people to think different ways and try different things, and accept different things, if you like. So you have to have quite a big toolbox of different motivational techniques, if you like,
Yeah,
to try and engage people.
when you've got to force them into a Photoshop course on a Friday afternoon and they really don't want to be there, and
Well, no, not really. I think yeah. So some people. I think it would be a good time to, like, just explain the process. So somebody commits an offence, and they get arrested. They go to court, and they'll go to wherever court. It can either be a magistrate's court or it can be a Crown Court. At the end of that process, they could end up with varying types of sentences. Could end up with a custodial sentence, go to jail, or they could get a community-based penalty, which could be made, straight out and work with probation. That's not to say people who don't come out of prison don't work with probation, because they do. They come out on license and they work with us for given periods. So people who come into probation are basically sentenced to do certain things that the courts believe will act as a punishment, and B, act as some form of have a rehabilitative effect. So coming back to your sort of point about doing a Photoshop course late on a Friday afternoon, people might say, well, what's that going to do or anything? It's absolutely rehabilitative, because what it does, it's introducing people to different skills, different environment, meeting different people, and it's, for some people, it's a really good way to communicate.
yeah,
Some people, can speak and they can articulate the feelings and the views. Some people struggle, and a lot of the people we deal with or work with, can struggle to explain and articulate the feelings and what what they're thinking.
yeah,
And using a medium like media savvy, or art, if you like, or writing things, or writing poems, or anything like that, some people can actually express their feelings and their thoughts much better than just by being asked a direct question where they feel like on the spot, and they may become sort of confrontational or withdrawn. So I've always, as you know, I've always been a massive supporter of media savvy, and just basically anything that might unlock somebody or help somebody just see things slightly differently, which obviously are big to the benefit of themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think sometimes it tends to be those people who are really dead against it at the start, in terms of like being involved. They seem to be the ones who end up responding to it the best. But it's the trick is getting them through the door and getting them sat down in front of the computer or whatever it is. You'll talk them over a set of weeks and like, don't want to do that about something they've got to go and do, and then you'll ask them 2 weeks later, how did that go? Oh, it was great. Like, it was really good.
Absolutely.
Like,
well, I've been involved with media savvy from when they first came into probation, and attended a lot of like the Shine exhibitions, which is like a celebration everything that's been done in that year. And some of the artwork is absolutely, people wouldn't believe it. I mean, it usually blows me away each year, from just pure artwork to people doing like motivational statements, just use of colours, use of shapes, and people sort of producing this type of like work, where nobody would give them that opportunity, but they're being given the opportunity, and for some people, as you and Dan know, they've gone on to do further education in that in media type studies.
Yeah.
So or it's just
IT based,
or it's just created something to sort of where they think, I'll look at things differently, I'll try different things, and anything like that's good.
Yeah, definitely. It's it really is. It's good to see it. It's like really positive when you see someone who, like I say, probably wasn't too fussed or really didn't want to do it, and then you see how far they can progress. Or they'll come in and say, "Can I use computers? Can I do that?" And then within, even if it's the shorter course, like 5 weeks or whatever, they're there and they're doing it.
Absolutely.
Or they want to come back and volunteer. We've had a few of them as well, where they want to be back in and they want to give back, which is the other
absolutely
thing. It's really good.
And I think what we haven't got to be the people who stop people doing things. We should be the enablers. We should be the people who open doors. And if people walk through and it's not for them, that's cool. Yeah. But if they walk through and they stick it out, like you say, it can open. It can create different opportunities for them.
Yeah.
So whether that's media savvy or whether it's been other things that we've done, I think it's all about, again, these key themes. It's about building a good relationship, being motivational, being quite pro-social, not being a barrier, but being an enabler, and sort of being empathetic to the person's circumstances, whilst always keeping your mind on the fact that there's a victim there as well. So probation is a proper balancing trick, because rightly so, we've got to make sure that we do consider the victims of crime.
Yeah.
But we've also got to think, well, ultimately, what we want to do is work with somebody so that they don't create any more victims.
Yeah.
So by default, we are we're accepting what the fact there is a victim there, and we're promoting the notion that we don't want to create this person to create any more victims, including themselves.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think the other thing you sort of touched on it there is the reoffending, obviously, rate, but also that, like, sometimes I feel like the feedback from them is they don't really get a chance. Like, once they've had it, specifically with the people who've been to prison, they feel like they haven't really got any prospect, so the chances of them going back and doing the same thing, I've firsthand had people say I'd probably be better off in jail, which you want to get them to a point where they're not thinking like that anymore.
Absolutely.
That should never be the only option for you, really.
Yeah, and I think thereby lies a bigger societal question, really, when somebody would say they're better off being in prison than in their own community. There's the bigger question to be asked there. Probably it's too big for this.
For this hour, definitely. But I think you're right in that what you also don't want is you don't want them to reoffend, because again, that's another cycle of victims that you need to avoid. Like it is a serious issue.
Absolutely.
Quick one from Dan, because he sent us about 10 messages in a row. He said, ask you about Phil from the Hendon office, who did the Don't Lose It.
Oh, yeah.
If you've got a little anecdote about that.
I have, yeah. Well, basically what it was we were running a course when I was the team manager in Hendon Probation Office, when the Hendon Probation Office was there in Sunderland. And we were quite proactive as a team in regards to media savvy and promoting it. On this occasion, we put a group together with the help of Dan and Leon, I think, might have been involved as well, and Lisa might have been involved as well. And basically, it was a really good, vibrant group. And one of the things that I always like the groups to do is yes, initially do something individual. So they did their own individual project, and then if they had time at the end, to maybe do something group, like a group-based activity. On this, in relation to this particular group, they decided to do a big poster, which was and it was to be really motivational.
Yeah.
And we just basically, I dipped in and out every now and again, but more or less kept out of it. And I know that what they decided to do was look at lots of motivational statements, and then try and sort of merge that into a visualization that could be displayed to help people think about the current circumstances and think of the future a bit more positively. Basically, not too dissimilar to what you've just been talking about like that self-fulfilling cycle of like committing a crime, going in jail, to associate with more sophisticated offenders, coming back out, committing more crime, going back in. So it was kind of aimed at that. So basically, I know that the project went through various stages, as they all do. And I think the first part was lots of words, lots of colours. And then the group sort of like collectively started to sort of self-regulate what they wanted it to look like. And I think it started to simplify, which are a lot, like most good projects end up being really, really simple and punchy.
Yeah.
So the upshot of it was Phil was he fit the model that you were describing, which is a regular offender, if you like. Not much sort of like quite low self-esteem. Not much hope for the future, and wasn't really particularly interested in doing maybe savvy at the start. So the upshot of it is that they produced this poster, which was, if you can visualize, it was a blue background with which was like lots of different like colors of blue. So trying to think of like smoke, like filter background.
Yeah.
And then along the center of it was a pulse line that you would see in a medical show.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm gonna say I've got a brochure here. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
If you can find it,
keep explaining everyone.
So and basically along the line, the Phil and the other group members honed all the words that they'd initially came up with and got it down to 3 words. Can't remember all the 3 words, but I know the last one was hope.
Dan might have sent us what it said. Hang on.
But really, it was so good that it got put forward for the Kotchler Award.
The course.
So and it won an award. Our senior management thought it was so motivational that they paid for some proper ones to be printed and framed. So and they went around all the teams, and some of the I think User Voice also took it away, and obviously it was displayed in a prominent place at the Shine of that year.
I've got it. Where are we at? So
that faith, hope, and freedom.
Yeah. So
and basically that was so motivational. And the other bit, which notwithstanding everything that went on with the getting an award and being going up on walls going on walls in various probation offices and stuff. What was really good is Phil's mother came in to see it.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely blown away by what he'd done. And I've got there's other stories. There's other stories similar to that. But it's such a good picture. And basically, what he was saying is the faith bit. Well, if you put it back up again, Ian, and I'll go through the words. So the faith bit, the reason why they use the word faith is because people lose faith in you when you let them down and you commit crime and you're not there for them. So I know that he, whilst he was in prison, I think he lost his granddad. So family lost faith in him. The hope is that, trying to instill hope that there's always something new, there's always new opportunities that you can go for, and freedom is that you don't understand how much freedom, what freedom means until you actually lose it.
Yeah.
So really, really powerful. And when he actually, because when he explained it to the team. We had some of the team came in and actually explained what it all meant, and it kind of it was really, really powerful.
Yeah. So we've got a little write up of it in there. It was the result of developing his own inspirational quote with essence related to review probation as being his lifeline. The probation trust then used the poster in offices around the region and also on the front cover of their own The Bridge magazine. That was the cover that I've just shown you there. The piece was also shortlisted for the Kursla Trust Awards, and he's progressed on to a bunch of other courses with us as well. Completed a full level 1 with us as well.
And most importantly, he hasn't come back.
Yeah, it must be a bit weird for you. Is it like when someone gets to the end of the order, you must be like, well, it's been great, and you've done really well, but I don't want to see you again. Just
don't want to see you in this circumstance, or this environment. Absolutely, over my career, I've had people who've come back and sent us cards and sent us letters, or just turned up at the office and they found out where I am. Not just me. It happens with a lot of probation staff. I've had people who, when I was working at Southwick, come to the Southwick office years after they'd left probation, the partner and maybe like a little baby, and they wanted to come and show me the fact that they were doing well, and basically introduce us to the child, and they're the sort of things that
stick with you a little bit.
Absolutely, they become part of your career.
Yeah, I mean it's great when because I imagine there's a lot of times when it, like you say, it doesn't work out. So when it does
absolutely
work out, you've got to be over the moon with it.
Absolutely. It's like I said right at the start. It's really, really interesting. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But you have really good, really powerful moments where quite clearly somebody actually have been part of a process of change, and that's really powerful.
Definitely. I was trying to find an actual image of this to show on the screen, but I cannot see it on here. But yeah, I mean, is there any particular other stories that stand out for you? Has anyone done any?
Well, I'll another one. There was a Dan will know this story because I think he was involved with the delivery of this group.
Yeah.
There was a young man who people ridiculed because of probably the way he looked and his perceived intellect, if you like.
Okay.
But he got involved with a media savvy course, and I can remember when we put him forward, everybody said there's no way he'll stop on the course. If he stops in that course for 15 minutes, you're doing really, really well.
Yeah.
So, cut a long story short, he did. He stopped in the course and he did it again. But the first one that he did, he had dogs the same as I did. So I got on with him really well. And what he decided to do was a montage of his dogs.
Right.
And so he did the initial project, learning Photoshop and everything.
Yeah.
Everybody said that he wouldn't be able to do it, and he wouldn't have the skills to do it, and B, wouldn't have the attention span to do it.
Yeah.
But he did. He went at his own pace. but he did really, really well. And the artwork that he produced was absolutely awesome. He mixed some of the stock images that you had, but he also imported, with the help of Media Savvy staff, the pictures of his dogs. He was really proud of it, and we were really proud of not just him, but the group that he was in was quite a dynamic group. So we did like a little display in our waiting room. And just because we were really proud of what that group had achieved, and we wanted to promote it. So
that's got to be great for them as well, though, to be fair.
Well, it was. The upshot of the story, which is the important part, is that one day I happened to be like loitering around the general office at the time, as team managers tend to do. And he came in with his grandmother and his mother, and he saw me, and he knocked on the window, and I came over and I came out, and he introduced it. He said, this is me gran and this is me mum, and he said I was telling him about the artwork that I've done, but they'll not believe us because I've never done anything. I haven't got a qualification. I've done nothing. All I've ever done is just bring problems to the door, and they just didn't believe us. So I told them that I would bring them down and let them see. So I took over and I showed them and they both started crying. They just couldn't believe that their son and grandson could produce something
so amazing.
And I think on the Media Savvy Facebook page, it was one of the images at the time that got the most likes and views.
Right.
So it was just, like I say, a really, really good, powerful for him. And again, he did come back, unfortunately, but he did the course again. But what I always say to people, it's not necessarily the fact that people are coming back. It's more to do with like seriousness and frequency of the offending. So if the seriousness and frequency of their offending declines, then that's a win.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So sometimes it's really difficult to change people's attitudes, values, and beliefs within a period of time. That takes a lot of time
and
a lot.
Realistically, isn't it?
Years. It takes years. I mean, just think of your own attitudes, values, and beliefs, things that you hold to be true. They're with you for usually most of your life, and if some of those are distorted, they're really difficult to sort of moderate and change. So to change somebody's values, attitudes, and beliefs within 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever, it's not easy. But like I say, he did come back again, not too long after, and one of the reasons he came back was there was I hate to say minor offences, but it was criminal damage. It was smashing of a window. I think it was a bus shelter window or something like that. And which, I'm not trying to minimise or anything like that. But basically, one of the reasons he did it is because he wanted to come back probation.
Right.
Because if he was struggling and he wanted to support, obviously the piece of work we then had to do with him thereafter was to say there is other ways to access help without committing a crime, and then he didn't come back again.
I mean, that's again, like you say, if you can change the way someone is slowly and get them, the nature of their offences to change, I suppose. And,
but the thing is, it's not like you say. There's lots of variables. I mean, there's some things that people are in control of, but there's some things that they aren't. They're not in control whether they're given a job or whether they've got or where they live or who, the type of housing that they're in, or there's some things, or the social circle, the estate they live on. Some things it wasn't their choice. It's just where things just happen to land, really. So I mean, like I alluded to right at the start, I was a magistrate for about 7 years.
I was just about to ask. So how was that?
I've kind of stopped judging people. I think so many different reasons why people get into certain situations, whether they're good, bad, or not.
Yeah.
There's lots of different reasons. Some of them by hard work and an endeavour. Sometimes it's just like you fall on your feet, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just dealt a shitty hand, and and you just try and do the best you can with that hand.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think there's been a few times where there's been people on the courses, or there's been people I know personally, and something's happened to them, and it's like, yeah, what they did was wrong, but like that could quite easily, a string of bad luck could lead you down the exact same path that they've gone down there, and it really, really could be you. Like, in certain circumstances, don't get us wrong, there are certain things that you would like to think you would never do, but there's certain things that a string of things have added up, and they've just ended up in a position where that's what happened. And
I think the thing we're talking about here, there's always a story, there's always a context. And sometimes the story is really, really strong, and sometimes the context is really, really strong. And whilst it still may not provide the justification for what they did, nevertheless, it's played a significant part in why they acted in a certain way.
And again, I think you'll know the people who show like the genuine remorse as well. And I know you guys do a lot of work around them accepting that and being able to identify, who the victims were and sort of get that mindset of what they did was wrong and why it was wrong.
Absolutely, victim work in lots. We do victim work in lots of different types of ways, but it's absolutely central to what probation does.
Yeah. Definitely. Sorry, I was just checking Dan's message again because he's been messaging a bunch of prompts because he knows you've got all the stories. But yeah, you mentioned Shine as well, so obviously you've done a few speeches for us as well down the years. And, you'll be sick of talking now, but I don't know when the next one's going to be. But you might be on the hook for that again. Come and do us a nice speech. Okay, just catch up with that. Yeah. So I mean, if anyone's got any questions for Keith, that'll be great. I know some of the things that we run into, and we've had a few people on from, say, like the National Careers Service. Is there anything you've come across when people are looking for employment with like convictions on the record that you would give particular advice about, or is it more something that maybe like User Voice might look into?
No, I think helping people disclose the convictions is part of what we do. We have particularly people who are very skilled at doing that. We have education, training, and employment officers who can provide very, very bespoke guidance and advice about how to disclose your offences and your convictions.
Yeah.
There's also there's a piece of legislation which is if I can remember, it's forgetting what it's called, Rehabilitation of Offenders Act.
Yeah.
So Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, part of that is an element which talks about how to disclose about when certain offences and convictions are spent and when they're not.
Yeah.
And those ones that are not spent, those ones that are spent, you don't need to disclose.
Okay.
But the ones that aren't spent, to be fair, I just think sometimes you need to disclose, but how you disclose is the crucial bit.
Yeah.
And how you can turn that into a positive by detailing the journey of where you've came from, where you've come from, and where you're currently at, and the things that you've done in between to get to where you've been. I think you can turn that into quite a motivational story and journey. And I think, I think that's one of the things that our ET officers are quite good at. Probation officers do that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it can be increasingly hard because people have got preconceived ideas, haven't they, about if you're so-called like criminal or an offender.
Yeah. Tarred with the same brush, as it were.
But you'd be surprised the type of people who are out there who've got convictions.
Well, a conviction could be pretty much anything, right? Like, as long as you've been to court and have had a judgment made, then that is technically, like you were
Absolutely.
saying, a community order, could be a custodial sentence. That just saying a criminal conviction, that doesn't really like explain, like you were saying. I think context is key
It's
with it.
all about it's about the context.
Yeah, and it's like you said. I think moving on from that as well, and how you do it. I think I haven't really thought about that before, but how you disclose it as well. Um,
Well, yeah, I think it is because, like you say, there may be very specific reasons why something occurred, and it may be that those things are really unlikely ever to happen again.
yeah,
It might just be a lot of and like three things came together,
yeah.
but it was so the likelihood of it happening again. Why should that be held against you for the rest of your life?
Forever, yeah. I think that's
Forever.
the other thing as well. Sue had a good question about.
Mhm.
Sue had a good question about how does Keith feel about offenders writing letters of apology to the victims?
Well, that comes under the notion of restorative justice. So I was involved in the start of restorative justice in Sunderland. I think it was the early 2000s. Um, just as a little bit context, restorative justice came from the Australian criminal justice system, where it was first started by, I think it was some sort of forensic psychologist over there. It's a lot of years ago, but I think that's more or less where it came from. And I think providing somebody with the opportunity to say sorry, whether that's in a face-to-face conference or whether
Yeah,
that's in the form of a letter, I'm all for that.
yeah,
Again, the big driver for me is if it's all about the victim. If the
yeah,
victim thinks that's worthwhile and something that could help them closure or help them understand why somebody perpetrated something towards them or to their property or to somebody that they loved, I think sometimes that can be really, really powerful.
yeah.
Um, but again, it's not for everybody, and I think it's got to be absolutely victim led.
Of course. But I take it that they obviously they wouldn't be there if they didn't think it would help. Um,
Yeah, and probation staff do help people to formulate these letters and broker the meetings and support people during those very emotional contacts. Um, some of them go really well, some of them don't go so well. But I think as a principle, I think restorative justice can be quite powerful.
yeah. So when did you say you started that? Sorry, I missed that bit.
I think that was in the early 2000s.
Okay, so it's
Um,
been happening for quite a while then.
oh yeah, and to be fair, way before that, I mean, probably into the 90s really,
Yeah,
because like I say, I don't know when. I mean, I can remember that it was that there was a pilot run in Sunderland, and I got involved in the pilot,
yeah,
and that will definitely be the early 2000s.
yeah. No, cool. I think that was a really good question, Sue. So thanks for that.
It was, thank you.
And I think yeah, that's definitely if obviously again it's one of those things. It's all like you said, victim orientated. If they're comfortable with it, I think it gives both parties a chance for a bit of closure. I think,
Mhm.
which again is probably another good step for them to get things back
And
to
and
normal.
and and sometimes it, the perpetrator of the crime gets to see the human face of
Yeah,
the consequences. Again, it's not for everybody, but absolutely, really, really powerful.
yeah. I was just about to say. I think that'll be the most powerful thing to do. Is that sometimes people think certain crimes or it's easy disassociated on you. You're not looking them in the face as you're doing it. And to see that that's
Well,
having
yeah,
a human effect, it's
and
got to do
and I
something to you.
think and I think what you hear as well is sometimes you hear like the ripple effect of your crime. I can always remember one, and I think it was somebody stole somebody's laptop or something. I can't in a burglary, and the when they did have the conference, the victim basically said, "What you don't realise, it wasn't just a laptop to me. It had lots of personal photographs on there. It had work on there that I basically hadn't backed up, and I've lost it all. So now I'm going to have to like start from scratch, and it's really upset us and impacted on me job and on my family, and the perpetrator didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
All to them, it was just a laptop that they could make some money on if they sold it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're right, and I think that's probably where the real effectiveness comes from. It puts a face and a ripple effect. I think that's a really good way of describing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if anyone else has got any specific questions, can't see any, but I don't know if my chat windows crash because it sometimes does. I mean, just we'll move on to maybe what we'll call a slightly cheerier topic. So you've got your hobbies and stuff out of work. We often talk on the Staying Connected streams about different hobbies and interests that people can get involved with. So have you got any ones? I know what they are, but have you got any ones in particular that you enjoy doing?
Well, yeah, I think given the type of job that I do, I think I mean, people probably wouldn't guess the type of things that I do. But I've always really enjoyed music, and I think, to be fair, whether it's music, I also like pastel painting. I used to. I don't do it so much now. But I just think the notion of creativity is like really, really important, and especially when you're talking about work-life balance. I think doing things that help you to sort of unlock another part of your brain, if you like.
Yeah.
That's why I like media savvy when it comes to like creating artwork and stuff like that.
I know you've sat in on a few of the courses as well and had a bit of a play about.
Yeah. I think there's a few times I've tried to come into the courses and try to slope away for an hour, and then I've been caught and I've had to go back and do the day job. But I'm pretty jealous. I mean, I'd like to do it at some point. But yeah, music absolutely been one of the central things to what I've done. I've been in bands for a lot of years, not so much over recent years.
But you produced
I produced music,
a custom track as well, didn't you, recently?
Yeah, for Leon.
So that'll be the music at the end of the show. We'll play the Keystar original.
Because
a bit of drum and bass you went into, didn't you?
Yeah, well, when Leon was back for a little while, Dan did mention that he did like a bit drum and bass, and it's not something that I've produced that much of, to be fair. But I gave myself a little crash course, and I've got a little recording studio, and basically put that tune together in about a week.
I was going to say for the short turnaround, it was really good.
Well, it was from researching what it was at first, because like I say, there's production techniques and all sorts linked to like every genre really, but drum and bass has got a particular way of like what it's got to sound like. So yeah, I did that, and then the other thing I really like doing is I've got 3 Labradors. Archie's my eldest. He's 8. I've got Charlie, who's 7, who's my black one, and I've got Riley, who's 5, and I train all of those to be retrievers.
Yeah, so I've got a picture with the certificates by the look of it there. We've got a black one.
All right, yeah. So I do, and I really enjoy that. I like being outdoors. I like going for long walks. And with the dogs, I've been in some competitions, and all the dogs have done really well. I just like I say, I just think trying lots of different things. I just think that's something I would sort of promote with anybody. Try different things. Try and get a good work-life balance. Try and be creative. Try and get in touch with nature if you like. Going out for walks in the countryside and wherever. So I can go from 172 beats per minute on a drum and bass or a trance track into like just sauntering through the.
I thought you meant your heart rate for a minute. I thought you were walking like really quick, and that was your heart rate.
No. Well, if you think drum and bass is normally 172, 174 beats per minute, so quite fast. So that's one extreme, and then on the other extreme, I just go for a saunter along within, like, along in the in the countryside.
That's definitely an eclectic mix of hobbies and
Absolutely.
interests. One's definitely very high octane, and the other one's very relaxing and traditional. But so I think if you can do it, I'm sure everyone can.
Absolutely.
Pick something up and
just try different things and be creative.
Yeah. So just a question about the dogs. So have you trained them to do exactly? So what is the like? Is it a certificate they get? Because I've got the picture.
Yeah. So the certificate that they got, if people can see the picture there,
yeah,
there's a particular type of training that I do, which is obviously I've got Labradors and Near Retrievers.
Yeah.
So I got involved with doing gun dog training, and what gun dog training is basically training your dogs to retrieve things from distances away. So for argument's sake, I think if you can visualize somebody maybe could be 100 meters away, they'll throw up like what we call a dummy, which is basically it's a sand-filled canvas oblong that can just be thrown up in the air. The dog marks it, send your dog.
Yeah.
Sounds relatively easy, but then you start putting distractions in, which could be you might throw 3 or 4 of them up in the air at varying points. You only want your dog to pick a certain one up.
Right.
It might be that you send your dog towards one, which is to your left, and then you want to stop it. So we use a whistle, and you stop the dog on a whistle, and then direct them to the other one. So it's when you see it done, it's like you. I mean, if people have not that I'm a big fan of crufts or anything like that, but they do gun dog demonstrations, which kind of like, replicate some of the training that you do. So
yeah,
it's a high level of obedience training, basically.
Yeah, sounds it. So I take it there's no
it's a lot of it's a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of patience.
Definitely.
And like I say, I love me dogs, and I love training them.
Yeah. So how many miles a day do you walk, do you reckon, then? When you take them out?
Well, when I'm out, I mean, I don't do a lot of like just straight line walks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't stimulate the dog. Yeah. I think when I train my dogs, it's basically exercise, but it's also exercising the brain.
Yeah.
So getting them to do stuff and getting them to sort of do various routines or whatever not only keeps them fit, but it also exercises the brains. So sometimes, I mean, I do go out for walks.
That, to be fair.
Yeah, I go out for walks. Yeah, I go out for walks, but usually a lot of the time I might not be doing much of the walk, and I might just be going to a certain place, and the dogs are doing all the work.
Yeah.
But I do occasionally. I mean, obviously every morning and every night time we've got to do a poo and wee walk. So
yeah, definitely.
So you've got to do
Otherwise
that.
You'll have staying carpets if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, but other than that, usually every other day I'll do some form of training with them.
Yeah, so they're well regimented and drilled.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they must enjoy it as well. They must get
they're doing stuff that they're bred for and stuff that they love. Yeah. And the payback is waggy tails and lots of licking after the end. Yeah. And and they come home, they get fed, and then they just flop down, absolutely worn out.
Aye.
And you've got like 3 happy dogs.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. Do you reckon, I mean, we've got chihuahuas at home if you can whip
them. Well, I was going to say, and I'm not too far behind, like falling asleep on the settee as well. So
definitely, I can imagine it's got to be a tough one before and after a full day of work as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask the question, but I might as well now because we've got a few minutes. But how did you find the whole obviously the lockdown and the working from home and that sort of adjustment?
Well, it hasn't been that bad for me because obviously we've been working all the time. Probation were identified as essential workers, so
yeah.
I've been working all the time. Yeah, I've worked a little bit more at home than I would normally, but I've still been going into the office and still been going out and about to various locations. I think listening to what like colleagues have gone through, I think people have missed the social interaction with the work friends and the routine of getting up at a certain time, going into work, doing a certain. It hasn't really affected me that way in relation. because like, I've still been managing, I've still been going to meetings, I've still been going into offices to do various things. So overall, it hasn't. I don't feel like it's affected as it has other people. To be fair.
Yeah, so you've managed to come through relatively unscathed work-wise.
Yeah, yeah, and I've got quite a pragmatic outlook on life in any event. I think the thing that's just moving on from that, some of the things that I have learned is I've done hours and hours and hours of telephone conferences and starting to get a bit sick of those. Got introduced to Zoom.
Yeah.
Got introduced to
Are you sick of that
Microsoft
yet?
Teams. No, I think Zoom's or video conference is probably one of the better things because at least you get to see you the person.
Yeah.
Whereas the telephone is a bit. It's okay. It's okay initially, but you kind of miss just the facial.
There's something like
just
psychological about it, I think, where you don't get like the social, like the facial cues and the expressions when someone's saying something.
Absolutely, and I've seen a lot of people's kitchens now, and I've seen a lot of people's
Heard a lot of people's dogs bark and kids scream.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Again, I think I've been on like quite important meetings where we've had a delivery and the three dogs have started to bark, and I just think you know what, that's just the way it is.
It's life,
and
it happens.
and I've been on meetings where people's kids have come on and they've wanted to, where one did a little dance for us, and then another one came on and basically was just standing in the background just waving.
Yeah.
Still did our meeting and things were still fine, and I just thought, you know, that's just the way it is.
There's been a few on the news where they've interrupted.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking of. But you know what, that's your home.
Yeah, of course.
And you're going to get stuff like that. So
yeah, definitely. I think it's important. It's good to see when people just sort of play it off, because what can you do? Do you know what I mean? You're sitting in your dining room and that's it. Everyone else is still in the house, so it's not what you can do about it.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I'll just have a quick scan, see if we've got anything else. I think Lynn was just asking if you work with like more serious offenders or not, without you giving too much away. I don't know if you want to categorise the level.
No. I think like I say, I've been in probation since as an officer since 2002, and a volunteer before that, and then a magistrate before that.
Yeah.
So I think all I would say to Lynn is think of all the different types of crimes that you could possibly imagine, and I've probably supervised people who've committed them.
Yeah. And she's also asking quickly, I think it was in response to the the unpaid work that gets done. Have you ever seen anyone get a job after that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do people go on?
Yeah. Well, if you think by default, if people are coming into unpaid work and doing groundworks, or they're working in shops or wherever, by default, what they're demonstrating is here they can attend and maintain a regime. They can work in a team. They can follow instructions. They can develop new skills. They can build and maintain like new relationships. They're all employability skills, and they can improve their self-esteem and self-worth, which again can mean people sort of having a different and more positive outlook on the future.
Definitely, I think
which increases their employability by default.
Yeah, I think it seems to be one of them things. You get out what you put in, and if they can put it in there, then it's in their favour.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Right, we're pushing for time a little bit, guys. I'm gonna drop the survey in. If you guys can fill that in, that'd be much appreciated as always. Give us a little bit of feedback about what you thought, and just to say a massive thank you to Keith for coming on and filling this hour with a bunch of chat about what you do and how stressful or not stressful it is, and what you like to do outside of work and that.
Well, you finally caught us, because I know I've been promising to come on for
a couple of weeks now.
But just today was a busy day, but I managed to get finished before 4.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, mate. It's been really good talking to you and catching up. If anyone's got any more questions, let me know and I'll shoot them across to Keith, and he'll be able to respond via email to me, and I'll get them back to you. But yeah, really appreciate that, mate. It was really good. I'll let you guys listen to the Keystar 22 production of My Name's Leon. The track's called. That can be the outro for this week. I'll put that on just after I end the call. So if you bear with me a couple of minutes, I'll stick the screen on with all the helpful links and numbers on, and then we'll see you guys again on Monday. So take care and have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
My name's Leon. I don't think I've introduced myself yet. My name's Leon. I don't think I've introduced myself yet. My name's Leon. I don't think I've introduced myself yet. My name's Leon. 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 My name's Leon.